Boston. Speaking of Boston.com, in about 2 minutes, we'll get to the Alex Cora story that's just come down within the last hour. Let's go to Jared, 617-779-7937. Thank you so much for calling KJ Lines. You're on the air.
Hey, what's going on? I wanted to reiterate something you said on Tua. I think he should play again, but there's a popular term in the MMA community called "your chin is gone." Now, that means when you get knocked out too many times, you're gonna keep getting knocked out, and I think that's what's happening to him.
Jared, thanks so much for the call. Yeah, I think it's like everybody has seen two movies on Tua with this concussion.
Yeah, but the thing is, KJ, too, like these aren't the only two. So
right.
like these are the two scariest, but these
are the two in prime time.
Yeah.
There were like three others in like local 1 p.m. games.
Yeah, and there is research out there that multiple concussions, then as it goes forward, like the caller said, it's easier to get future concussions. They can be more damaging. And again, we've seen two scary ones, but these are not necessarily the only two that have been a part of his life.
If he's dedicated to learn how to slide as a rushing quarterback, because what was everyone saying after those last two is learn to slide, but apparently he didn't learn his message. Not saying that the third one was like on him specifically, but if he's just actually dedicated to being smart as a mobile quarterback, then he'll be fine to return to play.
But I don't even think it's about the sliding. I think it's just about his head hitting the ground. And that's going to happen. That doesn't have to happen in a play where you're running with the ball.
Wasn't that the Cincinnati one? He got sacked and his head hit the ground, unless I'm remembering that wrong.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happened if you go back and look at the DeMar Hamlin tackle, yeah, he might have probably jarred his head going into Hamlin's body, but his head slammed against the ground, and then that's when you saw the reaction. So it's like you can't keep going out there. And here's what I think, because if a news organization is reporting that you're not going to quit, they are gearing up their I-team, if you will, waiting for this guy to go back out there. Unfortunately, something disastrous is going to happen. There's no way you can avoid it in football. And then they're going to start probing and poking to see what type of protocols, because at the end of the day, news is jealous of sports departments. I don't know if you've ever worked in television. That's why when you ask a local news guy, the sports guy, how much time the news department gives them for sports. Oh, they've got sports on cable. Why do I need to give you 3.5 minutes? They want to do news. So anything that takes away from the ability to do news, which is sports, you're going to find a way to investigate it. Like, we could take down the popularity of football. That's just how journalists think. So I would say to Tua, don't be that catalyst for those who really want to take this thing up against football and concussions. You can't get into a collusion situation where, hey, you wonder why nobody's hiring you. I think the Dolphins are ready to say, if you step away, you will always have a place in future in this organization. We're not going to ask for your money back, right? But we don't want you out there to become potentially a liability, not only to yourself, to this team, but to the entire league.
Yeah, and that's the thing. There've been two scary ones, but more than two. And you mentioned it, KJ, high profile, right? Prime time games that everybody saw. And we've seen a push over the last, call it 5-10 years, where the NFL is at least proclaimed to care a lot more about concussions. Now, their actions haven't always followed it, right? They added a 17th game on to the season, and there's Thursday night football, but they've at least claimed to care more about it. I mean, it puts them in a tough spot, right? Because if he's still out there and he's at a greater risk, well, it's not like they can tell him, no, you can't play. But I think deep down, they'd rather him not.
Yeah, even when you saw him walking off on Monday night, and we'll get to the Alex Cora here in 20 seconds, is you could see him asking, where am I? What day is it?
Yeah.
Like, you could clearly...
I was surprised he walked off, to be honest with you.
Well, I think that was pretty much like, if he didn't walk off, that's when the news department swoops in, right? Like, it's like, okay, we saw this on one Monday night, and now here's the follow-up, and our I-team has decided we're going to talk to Roger Goodell. So you don't want... The NFL does not want anything beyond what goes on the field to be the story. If you need any evidence, look at what happened here, 10, 15 years ago, right? Yeah. Like that's the whole thing. So this would be even worse, because while the NFL has made more strides to address concussions and its science and research and putting the things, Jabril Peppers wears the helmet cover.
Yeah. Oh, what is that called? Yeah, I know it. Yeah, he wears it.
It's crazy. I can't think of the name of it, but I know the guy who made
the
it
Guardian
in Georgia.
cap.
The Guardian cap, right? So he wears. So You have those things that are being allowed. Think about it. The NFL is next to Major League Baseball. Oh, they're sticklers about what the uniform looks like. Like you have to be in uniform step. So allowing those things are a way to do it. But if I'm watching on a news channel that Tua has announced that he's not going to quit, they're just salivating, waiting for him to just get back out there. And I don't want to say end up like Dooku Kim, but there's a reason why prize fights don't go 15 rounds anymore, because sometimes you just take too many hits, too many shots that become more than dangerous and need to be.